Welcome back to the award-winning YouTube channel that hasn't won any awards, and this is WrestleMania season. For me, this is one of the biggest sporting weekends of the year. We have 4 pretty decently sized big events. They are huge events happening this coming weekend, starting as of recording from tonight, depending on when I can get this up. It might be last night, but starting tonight as of Friday, it's the Hall of Fame, and we have a fair... It's strange this year. Everybody that's going into the Hall of Fame this year, I know everybody, and I've watched them since I was a little kid. Like, from previous years, there's people that went in from like the early 90s that I didn't know of. Everybody this year, they're all from the Attitude Era. They're all from the period of wrestling of when I first started watching it. So to start off, Mark Henry is going in. I liked him in his Sexual Chocolate days, but his later World's Strongest Man days, didn't really like it. He's been inducted by Big Show. Hillbilly Jim from the Godwins, from what I know him of anyway, he's going in. He's been inducted by Jimmy Hart, the Mouth of the South. Jeff J, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Such a tongue twister. One of my favourite of the Attitude Era. I remember him when he first came in like the mid-90s, I think it's 95, 96, and he was obviously with the roadie back then. I kind of like that gimmick, but my favourite one was when he was feuding with Chyna, which I'm surprised this year that she's... I'm not surprised, and I am surprised in a way, because obviously Triple H has said in the past, she's simply not going in just because he doesn't want kids researching her name and finding out of the dirty stuff of what she's done. But he's being, not he, as in Chyna, because she looks like a man. Double J, Jeff Jarrett, is being inducted by the Road Dogg. In the late 90s, when he was doing his little sexist gimmick, when he was feuding with Chyna, I thought that was brilliant. I used to love that as a 9-year-old kid. Looking back on it now, I wouldn't let my kid watch that. And then obviously he's been a very established promoter since he left WCW back in 2001. If you didn't know, October 1999 was Jeff Jarrett's last WWF appearance, up until a couple of days ago when they started releasing a couple of vignettes of him backstage and visiting people. But he held Vince ransom for $300,000 because he didn't want to drop the title to Chyna. I still don't really know the story behind that. I'm just looking on Wikipedia now, and I think it was just Jeff being a dick. It was basically what happened was Jeff Jarrett's contract ran out, and he didn't want to wrestle without the contract. I completely see his point on that sort of stance, but not really. But then again, he's obviously in it for the money, and so he wanted $300,000, and Vince paid him to drop the title, drop the Intercontinental title to Chyna that night. So, considering all that happened back in 1999, I'm shocked that Vince has brought him back in. But then again, it's some decent ratings, and he's probably trying to get something behind the scenes done with TNA. Not that Jeff's part of TNA anymore, but I don't know, who knows. Next up is Ivory, very well deserved. I liked her too. She's been inducted by Molly Holly, and a guy that I met last June or July, whenever it was, Bill Goldberg, one of my favourites in 1999. Bill Goldberg, one of my favourites in the late 90s. He's finally getting inducted. I met him last June or July time, and he's a genuinely lovely guy. He's so nice. I'm just pissed at the interview that I did with him. The audio didn't record, and the guy holding the camera was a complete prick. Saturday night is UFC 223, and that's going to be a really cool show. Although a lot has happened in the past like 15 something hours or so. Connor, mate, like seriously. But if you don't know what happened, former champion, I should say now, he's been stripped of his light heavyweight title. Conor McGregor, one of the most famous MMA fighters in the world, who was actually my favourite, but after what happened this morning, not so much now. Long story short, he attacked a bus and he's injured a few of the fighters that were going to be fighting tomorrow night. at UFC 223, and he's completely like wrecked the card. I don't understand why he did it. I've been looking around, and I don't know why he attacked the bus in the first place. I'm just looking at the Wikipedia. It basically says that he eventually turned himself into the NYPD and was held in custody. His charges were filed. He was later arrested alongside his teammate and charged with 3 counts of assault, but there's no reason for it. He probably just went nuts. But the card's looking decent. But the main event for the evening is still going to be Khabib, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his surname. He's still fighting, but they're looking for an opponent for him now, because his previous opponent, not to do with Conor McGregor, but I think he something or other, I can't remember, I read up earlier on. His previous opponent just isn't going to be there. I can't remember why. I think he fell ill or something, I don't know. At the same time as UFC 223, there's also the next NXT Takeover New Orleans show happening, which I'm going to have that on in the background, probably, depending if I'm going to stop up for it. But the card's looking decent. EC3 is making his debut. Ricochet's making his debut. Velveteen Dream, who I think is fantastic, who's the strongest in the NXT roster right now. And then in the main event is Andre Cien Almas. If I've probably completely said that name wrong, he's going up against Aleister Black for the championship. Aleister Black, how long has he been there? 2016. Aleister Black's been there for 2 years-ish now. Hopefully he's going to be called up to the main roster, but at the same time I hope that he doesn't, because everybody that goes from NXT into the main roster, they just completely lose it. But then you've got the Undisputed Era versus the Authors of Pain versus Roderick Strong and Birmingham boy Pete Dunne, and that's a triple threat tag team match for the NXT tag team titles, and it's the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. My bet's probably it's going to be the Undisputed Era, I reckon. But now for the main event of the evening. We haven't done predictions. I just knocked the table. We haven't done predictions. Myself, Passion Hall, in it is probably last WrestleMania when we last did them. Hall's picked some really weird choices, and the main event is going to be happening on Sunday. I'm not going to watch it live because some of us have work tomorrow morning, on Monday morning, and it's going to be it's going to be like a 7 or 8 hour pay-per-view if you count the if you count the pre-show as well. I believe I've got the right card up in probably more or less the right order. But starting it off, for the men's battle royal, Pasha's gone for Matt Hardy, Hall's gone for Eli, and I've gone for Goldust, simply because Goldust he's just so cool. And they seem to be giving him some decent TV time recently. I skipped through Raw last Monday, and he actually got a promo aired. Like, that was a bit strange, but hopefully they might be giving him one last push, maybe, because the statue's gold and that's his little thing. The women's battle royal, Pasha's gone for Bayley. It's the only girl that he knows. Hall's for some reason gone for Ember Moon, and I've gone for Sonya Jackson because I love Sonya Jackson at the moment. She's got such a huge potential, but then again, her gimmick and Rousey's gimmick is going to be like the same, obviously being from MMA backgrounds. I don't know what's going on there. Cedric something versus Ali something, can't remember the names. I just typed in the most easiest way to just type their names quick enough. Pasha's gone for Ali, so have I, and Hard's gone for Cedric. AJ versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Pasha's gone for AJ, Hall's gone for the Ref, and I've gone for Shinsuke. I think it's going to be a massive waste of time of him winning the Rumble. I've not watched SmackDown in a while. I don't know how popular or over he is. I ain't got a clue. But it doesn't make sense for him to win the Rumble. Obviously, it's happened before, but only with really heels before. I'm still sticking with Shinsuke. Miz, Seth and Finn. Pasha's gone for his boyfriend Finn. Harl's gone for Seth and I've gone for Miz, so that's a nice easy split. Orton versus Rude versus Jinder versus Rusev. Myself and Pash have gone for Rusev, and Harl has gone for Rude because he's glorious or something or other. Is he still using that gimmick? I have no idea. Bliss versus Jax. I've gone for Bliss, Pash has gone for Jax, and Harl's gone for the ref. After that is the winner of, just in case you didn't know, the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble, because they don't shout it down your neck when you're watching Raw. Flair versus Asuka. Myself and Pash again, we've gone for the same thing. Asuka, and Harl's gone for Flair. And then for the tag team titles, it's the Bar versus Braun. And a possible opponent. I hope to God that Braun doesn't get a partner. I hope he becomes the tag team champions, because then that's just a little, that's awesome. Doing the whole Team Hell No thing a few years ago when Daniel Bryan was the tag team champions, Braun can actually say, I am the tag team champions. Usos versus New Day versus Bludgeon Brothers. This is going to be the match on the card that is going to last like 2 minutes tops. I'll probably bet that they'll shove them to the pre-show as well. But Pash gone for New Day, Harl's gone for the Bludgeon Brothers, and I've gone for Usos. I couldn't give a shit. Next up is one of the biggest matches. Can you say there's like 3 or 4 matches tonight? 3 announced, 1 more to come, possibly. Angle and Rousey versus Triple H and Steph. I'm so Rousey coming into the WWE has been like the biggest news in years and years. Her charisma is like next to zero. It's awful. I mean, acting's bad in WWE, but she takes it one step further. And then you got so it's basically going to be Steph and Rousey, who can't wrestle, Angle, who's practically crippled, and Triple H, who can't bump. So that's going to be a weird match, but it's going to be nice to see Rousey finally make a debut, as long as she does the whole MMA gimmick and like proper really strips back her hair and makes it tight and like what she would have it in the octagon. So me and Pash have gone for Angle and Rousey, and Harl's gone for Steph and Triple H. He's gone for the complete opposite again. After that is the returning Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Owen and Zayn. Something along the story is Bryan. If Bryan and Shane win, Owen and Zayn have to leave. I don't understand that when there's this whole brand warfare thing going on, because if Owen and Zayn leave, they'll be going to Raw, and then they've just lost 2 people from SmackDown. So myself and Harl have gone for Bryan and Shane, and Pash has gone for Owen and Zayn. Just because Daniel Bryan's making his massive return at WrestleMania, surely they're not going to make him lose. Like, it's not scripted or anything, but you know what I mean. And then this is the match that could potentially happen. Obviously, Cena for the past month or so has been calling out Taker every single Raw and most SmackDowns, whatever it's been. But I heard a little rumor earlier on that they probably won't wrestle at Mania, but they'll basically do what they did with The Rock and Cena and say, this time next year at WrestleMania, I'm going to fight you, lol. And then we're going to have to wait another year and just hope that Taker doesn't die by that chance. But anyway, if the match does go ahead, I've gone for Taker and both Pash and Harl have gone for Cena. Main event of the evening is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, my boy Brock. Without spreading spoilers, he's actually heading to the UFC after his contract's run out, which his contract runs out on Sunday, as far as what I've read. So Reigns is going to get it in my books. Pash gone for Brock, and Harl's gone for nobody. So that's our take on the weekend. It's going to be a good, man. UFC, Hall of Fame, NXT, and WrestleMania. I'm going to try and stay up and watch all of them but WrestleMania, because why do they have to put it on that stupid hour in the morning? And then we'll see what happens. Then just let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen, and if there's going to be any, if there's, and if there's going to be any returns or anything. I don't think so until Monday after Raw, where I reckon Big Cass will be back. Apart from that, I can't really think who's due. Oh, Jeff. Jeff's due to come back.